Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Press Play, where we take a look at the best and then worst video marketing content out there. I'm Ben. That there's Justin. And today we're going to go back into the archives and pull up from episode 2, recruiting, and take a look at a couple bad examples for the first time. Why don't you remind the people what the key elements of a good recruiting video are first?
Okay. Should we define it?
Sure.
It's kind of obvious, right?
I mean, it should be. It should be anything that basically gets someone to want to work for a company.
Yeah. Cool.
All right, that works.
The first thing, like anything these days, you've got to be able to get and keep someone's attention. So that is something we're going to judge them on.
Fair.
Second is educating the viewer about the company culture that involves a lot of things. It's about what the company and the brand believes in, like what their mission is, how they treat each other as employees, what sort of environment they work in, what do they do on Fridays,
No, we've looked at company culture videos, which have that specific purpose of just doing that, but it's also got to be an element of a recruiting video too, even though a recruiting video can cover other things.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Third, because in recruiting, you've got a bunch of potential employees, and then at the bottom, at some point, less potential employees. You've got to be able to get people either moving down that funnel or out the funnel. HR, like the whole hiring process, can take a lot of time and cost a lot of money. So the more videos can work for you, the better off you are. Okay. We'll be judging on that as well.
Yep.
Also, I feel like when we first brought this up, it was just a pet peeve. I feel like now it's over, but still we're going to judge them on it.
It's important.
Yes. No ping pong tables, please. That doesn't make you silly or fun or anything. It just makes you lame.
It doesn't make you unique.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it used to be that
it's
the
like
ping pong table
was
like, oh, hey, we're fun. Now every office has a ping pong table. Like, show me a ball pit or something, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you can still have fun, but a ping pong table is not unique.
Yeah.
I think that's the greater point with that. So we'll see how these stack up. Now, again, because this is one of our bad episodes, take that however you want to, the disclaimer here is that we're not really finding bad videos necessarily. They're just bad examples of good blank, right? So I have brought careers at Pinterest for us to kind of watch and then potentially tear apart today. Why don't we press play?
More than likely.
Yeah.
All
right, here we go.
I grew up playing with Legos. Pinterest is a tool, kind of like Legos for your life. There's all these things that interlock. The more you have, the more creative you can be with what you're building. The mission of Pinterest is to help people live more fulfilled lives. And our strategy for doing that is to help them discover and do things that they'll love every day. Pinterest is a catalog of all the most interesting stuff in the world. Ideally, you uncover new possibilities for your life and then do some of those things and actually take action.
It's got billions and billions of recipes, products, articles to read, and all of them have been collected and curated by people all over the world. If you can show people more possibilities, that'll empower them to live up to that creative potential that we think everyone really has. Pinterest as a company is kind of an experiment.
We do a lot of work on making sure that that random crazy idea gets a chance to be prototyped. You don't need to ask. You just find a coalition of the willing, those two people who want to go work on it, and you can start on it.
Select the color up front.
The friction around getting an idea started is close to zero.
My routine is I put the headphones on, I turn off the computer, and I pull out pen and paper, and I draw. It's really a unique opportunity for designers, product people, engineers to really make things.
We're very intentional about the people we hire, and the culture is all about working together and collaborating. I think a lot of companies focus on building great products, and the people are kind of a means to an end. It's been a lot about both building a great product and building a great company.
The really cool thing I noticed when I first joined Pinterest was that it was the first place I felt like I was treated as an engineer and not a female engineer, and the expectations of me were as high as it would be of anybody else.
We work in a very open, pretty dense space. Like a city, density of people leads to culture, leads to creativity, leads to cross-knitting of ideas and functions. The core value of Pinterest as a company is knitting. which is seeing a problem through someone else's point of view so that you can combine the worldview of both and make something better than any individual could.
There are a lot of great opportunities for employees to be a part of different communities within the company. We have a moms group. There's an LGBT club. We have a runners club called Sprintrist. People who are passionate about wine get together on Friday afternoon and do wine tasting. Just 3.5 years ago, we were 10 employees. We've been able to scale the company while also keeping a really high technical bar and cultural bar.
Even though I'm proud of kind of the product we have, I just know it's going to get like so much better. I always get really excited about thinking, what's the next version of Pinterest going to be? And who are the people that can help us build it?
Oh yeah, I forgot we were making a video here.
Yeah, no. And we're back. So I watched this video like 4 times before making the final decision to include it because it's not a bad video.
Okay, I'm glad you said that
But go ahead.
I have to put myself in the place of someone who's looking for a job
Yeah.
when I'm watching these to think, does this make an impact? And I'm wondering, did you put yourself there and say like, oh, I don't want to work here, or did you say
No,
like?
I didn't say I don't want to work here. This to me just missed on key
Okay.
points. I think it's more about, at least for the first like third of it, it's just about the company. It has nothing to do in the beginning about how I might play a part. And I think it just, for me, it never went deeply into what I might get out of working at a place like that. It gave me no reason, no pull toward them. It showed me that they have a cool office, that they've got management that cares, and that, you know, you can there's a freedom to express ideas and things like that, and all of those may be cool, but
None of which exist here.
No, of course not. No, but it just kind of hit the surface of things. Felt like it spent a little too much time on the company, not about the people, and I never felt like anybody was talking to me as a potential recruit.
Okay.
And so that's ultimately why I chose it, was because it's a good video.
Yeah.
It just kind of missed. It's like it skipped off the atmosphere instead of kind of coming in. It just didn't work for me.
Okay.
I think maybe as we look at our 4 key points, I'll be able to clarify that a little bit,
Yeah.
and we can discuss. But again, I thought that it would also maybe bring some conversation, and it's got some good things about it.
Yeah.
But ultimately, for me, it just kind of missed.
Some of the stuff I liked, I know that we talk about the doc style, like interviews and how boring that can be or just overused, but I felt like they did a good job of making those shots a little bit more interesting by having, like, whether it was the framing or the angles that they were doing it at.
Yep.
I think there was what was that show?
Project Greenlight.
Yes, yeah, those interviews were so interesting.
That's how this works.
Those interviews were so interesting. And I thought that made it a more fun thing to watch.
Yeah. Yeah, no, there.
So that was good.
Yeah, technically speaking, it was good, and they have a good space to work with and whatever. But I think for me, it starts at point number 1. It got my attention. The Legos and the way that he kind of used, how Legos are like Pinterest and but they never came back to that. They never pulled on that thread. They just kind of used it as a hook for hook's sake, or just something kind of interesting up front, and then the rest of it did almost nothing to kind of keep me into it. It was just person after person saying these things that, again, didn't speak to me. Were just saying, well, as a company, we this and whatever, and none of it was just addressed to me. So I felt a little cheated by that. It kind of pulled me in. Okay, this might be interesting, and then it just it did nothing with that. So again, one of the ways that I kind of have an issue with it. It started to, it kind of teased me, but ultimately I don't think it delivered on any kind of keeping my attention.
So one,
I have to say no.
What about number 2, educating the viewer about the company culture?
Again, I feel like it touched on it a little bit. I don't know that it was pervasive throughout. I felt like still there was too much talking about what the company was about than what the culture was about. I think if anything, they did a decent job of showing the culture, even if they didn't talk about it, but it still didn't really give me a sense of what they are in fact all about, other than this product that they're creating. And I feel like something, especially in a competitive market like Silicon Valley, they're competing for so much talent that they really owe it to themselves to get more into what they're all about, instead of, again, just kind of skimming on the surface and not really getting into this is who we are and making a declarative, like planting our flag saying this is who we are. They didn't do that. It's like it was kind of one of their bullet points when they were outlining, and when they were editing, they're like, oh yeah, that kind of touches on culture.
Yeah.
But they weren't deliberate about it. So again, it's at best neutral, but still, I think it just misses.
So my equal sign?
So your equals sign, no, yeah. But no, I'd say you can give it an equals. I'm gonna give it an X.
All right.
And yeah, that's kind of the point. Number 3, moving them through the funnel, spitting them out.
Would you not go further in the process, having watched that?
There's certainly nothing in there that as a prospective employee I would think, okay, this place isn't for me. So it wouldn't spit me out. And I think I'd go further hoping for a little bit more information. Again, if I put myself not just in a position of somebody looking for a job, but somebody who could potentially be working in Silicon Valley, San Francisco, whatever, there's a whole lot of places like Pinterest that I'm looking. Some of them speak to their recruits better than others. This one, I'd be like, I don't know that I know enough about them compared to these other companies. So again, I may move forward and hope that there's another video, right? I might go actually look for their company culture video. And if they did a really good job with company culture, then that might give me that information. But I also got nothing, and it's not a requirement, but I also got nothing about any of the perks of working there, right? Anything about salary, or I mean, I guess I got a little bit about their groups, and that's kind of a culture play, but none of that stuff that says here's why you need to come work here.
One of the things that we talked about in the culture video is they focus too much on recruiting.
Yes.
And in recruiting videos, they focus too much on culture, not some of those more tangible aspects of working there.
Yeah.
So it's a delicate game, but there's certainly a balance we're trying to achieve.
And I feel like I should mention, if you haven't watched our culture episodes, you definitely should, because there's a fine line between recruiting and culture videos. But I think in the culture video, we lay it out pretty well. So again, if we haven't already, I could maybe give them a check minus for moving them through the funnel. Again, nothing to spit me out, but at least I might want to know more and get the answers that I was hoping to get in that one. So that's a soft check minus.
Ping pong table, X, get it out of here.
Yeah, there was a ping pong table. So, sorry, fail.
My problem with the ping pong table on this one was not that it was in there, because, okay, I get it. Like, it's especially as a developer or someone who's, like, intensely doing something, it's nice to get away. But they stopped all dialogue, showed that, then showed the foosball table, and then went back to the interviews. And it was like they were really trying to draw attention to it. I was like, all right. Like, I can get it if it makes it into your video because it's part of your office.
Yeah.
But they just drew such a focus.
And I'll be honest, it was a little bit of a bonus. Like I said, I really struggled with whether to choose this one or not. And the fact that it had a ping pong table in it just gave me another reason to give it an X. But again, a near miss, but I think misses on most of them. So sorry, Pinterest, but better luck next time.
Fair enough.
What do you got?
Well, so since we've been doing good and bad, I've really enjoyed finding bad videos. And like we say in the disclaimer, it's not about making fun of or ripping on bad videos, because clearly there are a lot of bad videos out there. It's about finding videos that, so let me get to it. One of my favorite places to find my bad videos is on top 10 lists.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Because there's so many tropes that just get overplayed, and that a lot of times we'll come up with our bullets after really digging in for a couple hours and figuring out, all right, we watch a bunch of videos that we find on a bunch of different lists, and we're like, oh my God, if I have to see another.
One of my other finalists was that funny at Twitter recruiting videos.
Yeah.
That just isn't funny, but it's on everybody's top 10 best recruiting videos.
Yeah.
Hate that video.
So anyhow, I can't remember where I found this one. It's not a local company. It's also not a professional wrestling organization, but it is the WWF.
That might be
And-
disappointing for some prospects.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyhow, this is called Careers at WWF.
All right. Let's press play. Do we get a panda?
Yeah, I bet there are.
Do I get to edit this one?
Yes, I'm ready.
I speak a lot at universities, and the students always ask me for career advice, and I always tell them, make sure that you work with people you respect. You choose a job in which you'll be able to have an impact. And that you choose a profession in which you will always learn. And you find all that in abundance here.
Everybody smiled and said, "How you doing?" Never seen me before in their life, but they were just friendly and very welcoming. So I was like, ooh, I can work here. And so 20 years later, I'm still here.
And I have the opportunity to meet all these people around the world, different languages, different cultures, different ways of seeing things.
And everybody is different. It's not the same straight and narrow path to getting here. You can come from so many different places.
I have this incredible opportunity to work with farmers in the lower Danube, peasants in South Africa, to politicians in Mexico, and that's really thrilling.
You know, you come to a place like WWF, we've got a great brand, great recognition, and a team like none other. And it's because of that brand and the innovation of the people here that really sets the tone and the opportunity to change the world in a way that 20, 30 years from now, when I look back on it, I'm not going to regret anything.
And you know, it's nice to go to work and earn a living, but it's even nicer to work for an organization where you can see the impact on the ground.
So I feel like joining WWF gave me opportunity to grow dramatically, learning a lot of new things. For example, market transformation initiatives, China for Global Shift initiatives, and this China Sustainable Growth Fund. For example, are all new things I'm learning.
I've learned so much about protecting the animals. People are so dedicated around here. It's unbelievable.
Because you're always constantly working on new projects, or there's some new story to tell about a species or a place.
It's really good when you feel that way about the place that you work, that you like your colleagues, you like the work, and you don't want to miss it, because every day there's going to be something that's interesting and important, and you want to be a part of it.
It's a gift to work at WWF. It's an organization that gives individuals like me a platform for creating parks around the world, for grabbing the world's imagination, for engaging some of the biggest players in the world, and to make sure that nature has a seat at the table when the biggest decisions are made. To me, that's what a privilege it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not wrestling.
No, not wrestling. Not panda heavy either.
No, not as many pandas as you might have wanted. So that actually kind of gets to one of my points.
Go on.
Very loosely. But okay, you go. What did you? This is your first time seeing this.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
Okay, so my first thought was like, I see what you did there. It wasn't. It was. Like, I like how they had the presumably executive, I don't remember what his job title was, kind of lay out, you know, whatever he learned about a job is you want people, impact, and learn, or whatever. And then they kind of structured their piece out of that. But that and all the rest of it honestly just kept making me think, like the way they used a monitor to kind of set up each like first person in a segment's interview, and the way they use the iPad on the stock image so poorly, and it made me feel throughout, honestly, and this is a technical complaint, but it made me feel like it was like a one-man band shooter editor guy who was trying to make himself too much a part of the process, and like, look, it just tried too hard to be kind of, I don't know, whatever it was trying to be. It just, there were a lot of people in it. Some of them said things of value, but I don't, meh.
Yeah. A lot of times I am willing to forgive the technical things. Like, there are more experienced filmmakers and less experienced filmmakers.
Yeah.
So generally what we're harping on are issues with the creative. And there were just some poor decisions in making this video. My biggest one, all the interviews took place in some nondescript boardroom somewhere. This is the World Wildlife Federation. Is that what it stands for?
World Wrestling Entertainment.
World
Wildlife Federation. Foundation. Get out there.
Yes, they have people all over the world. Why go to Cincinnati or wherever the hell this was shot into some boardroom? Like, it just didn't. If I were looking to work for the WWF, I would want to go because I care about the world. I care about people in the world. I care about the animals in the world. I care about the environment. And not Cincinnati, wherever it is. I don't know.
Yeah.
But to me, that was the worst creative decision, is holding all these interviews. And then when they weren't showing the interviews, so the interviews led the narrative. When they weren't showing the interviews, they were showing B-roll, and a lot of times the B-roll was of an office in New York, or it's like, come on, show me how you're making an impact in the world. Do something more than just. It seemed like they've got to have a bunch of media. They've got to have video and pictures from all over the world. It seemed like the videographer here went to a Dropbox link and randomly picked 24. He had 24 slots. And he's like, all right, these 24 will do, and threw them in there and didn't help tell the story in any way. There was a lot of video in the B-roll, but some of them were stills.
Yeah, just randomly thrown in there.
If it's telling a story, if it's telling the right story, then sure, use a still. It sucks that you have to use it, but use it.
The first one I noticed was like a still of a panel discussion.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
Why would
it looked
you
like
do
a
that?
UN vote or something.
And like a slow, not even slow, like a too fast Ken Burns zoom in. Again, it's a technical thing, but yes. Can we focus your rage a little bit?
Yeah.
All right. So, did it get and then keep your attention?
It got my attention because I think the guy from the executive team had something to say.
Yep.
I lost it as soon as the next interview was in a boardroom. Then I lost it even more. I'll tell you, I didn't even finish this video before I put it up. I'm like, this is bad enough.
Okay.
I'm going to send the link to Anthony and get to this meeting. But the people, all of them were in the same boardroom. They changed the music, which like every other interview or something, and I was like, oh my god, this is still going. It's time for a song change. And like it just lost me time and time again. Every new interview, every new scene.
So again, it kind of got your attention, but it just failed to keep that attention. All right. So an X there. What about? Oh God, yeah. What about educating the viewer on company culture?
Honestly, they might have said something about the culture.
I don't recall it.
I don't. If it did, I just wasn't paying attention because I lost.
I feel like they have such an opportunity to play the whole change the world card, and they just completely missed that opportunity.
Yeah.
Maybe if they said anything about it, it was covered in too much other stuff. Again, I keep coming back to the poor decisions that kept taking me out of the piece.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, even the content of the interviews I felt like was so micro about this. Maybe that's a bad. About the one woman who decided to stay there for 20 years. Like, okay, I'm glad you I'm glad you found a place to work for 20 years. That's great
Yeah.
that you liked it enough. But I feel like I need more. Like, this is a worldwide organization. I don't know. I felt like there was some weird micro pieces, but no macro elements that really help pull me in.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I got no sense of what it would like to actually work there. In Cincinnati or otherwise. Yeah. Okay. So moving them through the funnel or spitting them out?
I'm gone. I left.
Yeah. So it spit you out for the wrong reason.
Yeah.
So a bad check.
Yeah, backwards check.
All right. Well, what about ping pong tables?
Check.
There were no ping pong tables.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although, unfortunately, I kind of got the feeling that if someone tried to put in the suggestion box, how about we get a ping pong table, everyone else would be like, oh, no, we can't do that. Like, it almost feels like the place is kind of anti-ping pong table.
You know, I bet there were plenty of ping pong tables in Dropbox, but he neglected to find them.
All right, we'll give it that one. So, anything else you want to say about this one, or have you sufficiently?
I'm worn out.
All right, good. Well, in that case, we'll wrap up this episode of Press Play, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks.
Yeah. Still there? It's over.
Yeah.
Go home. Go.